Well, ain't that a doozy? So, a little late today. A little late in the old Burn and Learn department. But here nonetheless, with the torture device. Quite miserable today. Yes, truly miserable today. Everything feeling like a bit too much for me. Oh, go to sleep. Gotta get fit. Gotta do a bunch of work which I haven't done. It's definitely feeling a bit like a Monday, I'd have to say. If I was gonna make a guess at a day of the week, it would be Sunday. So this is my burn and learn. This is my bid to stay alive and fit long enough to enjoy my retirement years with my brilliant, beautiful wife Jane, my fabulous son Sebastian, and this wretched, what is it, mutt princess that is Huzzah. Laura, hello, how are you? Rebel Time Lady, how are you? Yes, it is definitely an afternoon today. It is a miserable morning, just pouring with rain. I had to take the dog to the vet to get all of her various shots and jabs and pokes and prods and all that kind of stuff. Poor dog, I really felt for her today. But as long as she had liver treats, that's all she really cared about. Who else we got here? Beth, Kareem Kefo, hello, how are you? It's, how long has it been since what do we call it? Not Birkenstock. What was it called again? Not Birmingham. Oh my God, if I forgot, Basingstoke. That's the one. Nixie, how are ya? Rainy UK. Yeah, we I guess you got our rain because we rained this morning, and now this morning, and then today it's the afternoon. It's absolutely gorgeous, which of course means it's absolutely boiling in my little garage. Dana, how are you? Max Porter, hello. Not someone UK know. Good morning to you too. Mandy, good evening. How was the torture device today? It was pretty miserable today, I'd have to say. On a scale of 1 to 10, it was 1,000 miserable. William also met at Basingstoke. William, were you the detectorist that I had the pleasure of meeting? Is that I got that right? Who else we got here? Seth, how are you? From Tenerife. Wow, that sounds exciting. Sunny Serbia. Hello, Giovanna. Danny LRBB, trying to stay fit here in New Hampshire, USA by having my Tibetan Mastiff pull his wagon. Thankfully, we beat the rain. Nice, good work. Tibetan Mastiff, they're pretty huge, aren't they? All right, I put my glasses on, see if I can actually read these better because I feel my brain exploding trying to focus on them. 2 weeks since Basingstoke. Just finished my own treadmill walk. Oh, good for you, Casually Sandra. How long do you do it for? I did, today was 20... Oh, God, what was it? 28 and a half minutes. Most of it backwards, some of it forwards. All of it set on 4. Resistance again. On the torture device, the big elliptical machine from... Who makes that thing? It is bulletproof. That thing is not dying. It was Smooth Fitness. I gotta say, I've been really impressed with this thing. There's no real crazy bells and whistles on it. I think it came with some kind of a heart monitor thing, but I never figured out how to use it, and frankly, I didn't care. It was too much. It was just something else to have to fiddle with before I got on the machine. I literally just set it and forget it at this point. I know that you can set it to go harder and softer and all these kind of things, and I'm sure it's smarter than I am in that regard. But for me, I just wanna know that I'm going to get through my allotted time. Not someone you know. Not someone you know. I knew there was somewhere in there, but I wasn't sure whether the UK being upright, but it should be such a thing. Iron Ham, big fan. Yeah, huge fan. I'm sure, Iron Ham. What are you doing, Iron Ham? Why are you here? Should you not be doing homework or something? Caliber Pictures, hello. Actually, where are you? Are you at your friend's house? I guess probably. Caliber Pictures, hello to you. Cyric, howdy there, Mr. Hewlett. Nice and sweaty, I see. Yeah, Cyric. 28 and a half minutes. I felt it today in every muscle in my body. So thank you for that, Cyric. Yes, this is, I mentioned this at the beginning, but this is my burn and learn. So this is my attempt to stay alive and fit long enough to enjoy my retirement with my brilliant wife, Jane, and my fabulous son, Sebastian, who may or may not be at home as we speak. I hate exercise. I just hate it. So I just like to be learning something while I'm doing it. And what I'm learning right now is it's basically genetics and DNA, and it's this great courses series, and it's fantastic. Really enjoying it. Master Braddock costume. You told me to stay hydrated. Yes, William. It's important, especially in that place. My God, it was hot in Basingstoke. Sandra, 30 minutes. Oh, show off. I promised myself to return to gym in 2 weeks. Dana, you don't do it in 2 weeks. You do it today. It's the only way to do it. Only way to do it. I come up with the best excuses why I can't do something right now. But I'm telling you, if you can do it today, just a little bit, even just like what got me started this time, weirdly, was a few sit-ups and push-ups. I thought, oh, I'll just do a few sit-ups and push-ups. I feel my gut. I'm going to do some of them. And within a couple of days, I was back on the elliptical again because I just felt like I just needed a bit more. 28.5 minutes. You're ramping up slowly but surely. I hope so, Time Lady. I really hope so. Mandy Buckland says, you're doing so well, getting back into it. Oh, thank you, Mandy. We'll see. I'm remaining cautiously pessimistic. Every time you're going live, at the moment I'm watching Atlantis. It's funny. Then you're watching too much Atlantis caliber pictures, for God's sake. Hello from Texas. Woohoo, Texas. Jose says, I have been rewatching SGA currently, season 3. There you go. You're not alone. You're not alone in that caliber pictures. William Alexander says, I sometimes use my the Gorn U-Rube to watch your streams. I don't know what that means, but it sounds fabulous. Wayne, how are you? Dave, sent you an email. No reply. All right, I'll have a look. I'll see what's in there. I get a lot of stuff, so it takes me a while to get back to people, but I'll have a look. Do you burn whenever you get a minute? I mean, you're live in the AM, you're live in the PM. Basically, Giovanna, that's kind of what I do. Yeah, I would love to have a schedule, but my life doesn't really dictate a schedule very well. Like today, I'm supposed to do some audition, which I'm trying to talk myself into doing because I just don't feel at all motivated to do it. It's a fun part, but it's a fun part, but it's unlikely that they're going to cast from here. And it's not an obvious choice for me, but it is a fun role, if that makes sense. So I thought I should probably have a go at it, but I'm really dragging my feet on this. Oh God, there's some of them you go like, this is totally me. This is totally something I can do. I must audition for it. And then there are other ones that you sort of have to drag yourself into doing because you just like, I better keep myself out there. But I don't know. Hi from Frankfurt. Get out, Tobias. Because I am what I said, I called myself a sizzling Frankfurter. Try to come up with something new every day. Hello from France. Bonjour, Lionel. Turbo Turtle says hot in Canada. Yeah, it was sort of humidly wet this morning, and now it's absolutely gorgeous, and the birds are singing, and it's in fact they're a little loud, I would say. I think I'll have to listen to the Great Courses Plus Genetics course. Yes, yes. You should, Jim. I'd be curious to know what you think of it. I mean, I got to get the name. It's ridiculous that I don't have the name for it here, but I'm always scared to mess with my phone while I'm doing the live thing in case I screw it up. What exercise do you like, if any? Weightlifting? Rensoon, I don't like any exercise. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. I hate it almost as much as I hate greens. I don't like vegetables either. Like I'm not a fit person. I was not designed to be fit. I just assumed that I would whiz through my life with a very fast metabolic system, and that I would just eat whatever I wanted to and would always be rail thin. And unfortunately, that has not panned out for me, because late into my 20s, I realized there was a gut forming and that I'd actually have to look after myself. The only exercise that I have stuck with for any period of time is this elliptical machine, the torture device. And the torture device it's just because it is brain dead simple. I used to love doing Taekwondo, and I used to do hours and hours and hours of it. The problem I found with it was you need a lot of space and a lot of time. And at this point in my life, I just need to do a little bit of exercise to get my endorphins going, to hopefully keep some of the weight of all the fabulous food I get to eat off, and also my mood. I find it really, really helps with my mood. I can get very, very low. And that is a family trait, and I find that exercise helps me sort of ward off the black dog, as my father used to call it. I love lemonade. It's true, I do. Procrastinating is the root of all evil. Oh, Nixie, it's just, isn't it? We're so damn good at it. I mean, my wife, the house is never as clean as when my wife has to do some marking of essays or something. I mean, like, it's just, we can come up with the most amazing things for not doing what we're supposed to do. Turbo Turtle lives in Florida. Hot and humid is normal down here. Yeah, you're right. I should just stop complaining. I get it. I was talking to a new acquaintance, actually, who, amazing woman who I met at the Bio IT World conference, and she was very, very kind, and she came up after my my keynote and said, look, would you like to do some of this? Would you like to help me out by trying to convince people to do biology experiments in space, and sort of like latch onto this space tourism stuff? And so she has a whole organization that does that, and she lives in Florida. She just moved to Florida, and she was saying that she does her yoga on a floating board in the pool in her backyard between meetings. And I was like, oh my God, like that is living. I mean, until there's what is it, like an alligator in there or something. What is that big robot? That is, what do we call him? Do we have a name? We have a name, Rodney? No, what was it called? Meredith? I don't remember. We called it something. Sam? That's a Meccano robot that one of my tech bandits, he grew out of the tech bandits, but he thought I would, and out of robotic stuff like this, and he decided that he thought that maybe I should have it because I would enjoy it, being the kid that I am. I got to figure out the tech bandit stuff. I was saying to my wife today that I miss the kids. I haven't done a lot of online stuff, sort of on purpose, because I just don't feel like they need more online time right now. But because my son is no longer working at the community center, we've sort of lost touch with the guy who I was coordinating the Tech Bandit stuff with. So I'm trying to find out who's there now and what they're... See if it's actually... I'm still streaming. Oh, good. So that was Alan. I'm just going to do this to make sure that it doesn't interrupt again. And then I can come back to this. All right. Hey, I managed some chores today, finally, but had an involuntary 3-hour afternoon nap. That's insane. That's what I want. Mandy, you're speaking straight facts. What's Mandy talking about? Let's see. Mandy says, no such thing as too much stress. Yeah, good point. We've talked about the big motivation equals money. Does it? I got to figure out the money side of it, because I find that the motivation, sometimes the motivation, the acting stuff is very difficult for me these days. I really do enjoy acting. I just really, really don't enjoy being the actor part. All this auditioning and silly stuff. It feels very inefficient. It feels very like I'm like, well, you gotta know pretty quickly whether someone is right or not for a role you're doing. The fact that I don't think anyone should be auditioning for anything until people have already had a look at your stuff and decided that you're someone that they want for it, frankly. Because the reality is, I'm gonna learn 3 pages of lines today for this thing, which I should probably record tonight. And, and probably nothing will come of it, but that's a lot of work. That's a lot of stuff to memorize. And again, when I was a kid, I used to love it. I used to really just sort of enjoy the whole process. Now, sometimes I just find myself dragging myself into some of this stuff, especially for the stuff where I'm just like, well, we'll see. This one would be fun. This one would definitely be fun. And that's the reason why I'm sort of considering doing it. But the audition, that is. But sometimes it's just hard to find that energy to do the auditions, because you're just like, I don't know if it's going to happen, and it's just a lot of work, and whatever. Anyways, it feels like I've done nothing but be sick and then return to work since Basingstoke, so I need to make a point of looking through my photos. Get on it, Karim Kefo. I touch wood. I haven't got sick since Basingstoke, which is good, because I was lucky. I dodged whatever bullets there were there, and I think I've just been so sick so many times over this year. Like this year, since COVID, I feel like I catch every single bloody thing that shows up, to be honest. But, Wayne Taylor, apparently I'm stalking me, buddy. Watching movie, and you show up in the shape of water. See, yeah, I get around, Wayne. It's true. There you go. Guillermo del Toro, buddy. It's a great film. Tuned in for the hell of it. Hey, David. Ari, how are you, buddy? We just talking this afternoon. How did your lunch go? Hope you had an enjoyable lunch. Ari was taking his kids out for lunch, which I'm very, very jealous of, because my son is now at someone else's house having dinner. I'm not going to see him tonight. All right, yes, I use the pre-programmed workouts. Otherwise, I'll do 0 minutes. Oh, interesting. Tricked my brain into not paying attention by watching TV. Yeah, that's good, Casually Sandra. If you can be doing something else to take your mind off it, that is the only way that I can do it. I can't. This is one of the reasons why I can't do weights. If I have to just be focused on exercise, I'm sorry. I can't find it in me. Maybe if I looked like Jason Momoa or something, I just don't see. It just seems like a silly waste of sweaty time for me. Whereas, and even this does. Like I resent every second of it. But at least this way, I've been learning about phenotypes and how, what is it, the DNA is the gene, and the gene is the phenotype, and the phenotype is the proteins. It's just it's amazing. It's amazing stuff, and I find it yes, it's distracting. Sometimes it's not as distracting as I'd like it to be, because when you're learning, you sort of have to concentrate a bit more. And sometimes that's difficult when I'm exercising. I find I'm not terribly good or coordinated for that matter. And God knows if I slip off that giant torture device, man, if I like that, the smooth fitness would make short work of my legs. Then again, I wouldn't have to exercise again after that. Just saying. Yeah, so was listening to that stuff today. Any other interesting things they're talking about? They talking about this. Oh God, it was horrible. They're talking about this condition that these kids had that basically they weren't processing certain genes, so their urine would show up these horrific colors when it was tested, and they were trying to figure out what it was, whether it was something they were eating. So they took all the stuff they could possibly have this coloration in it, or cause this coloration, and then they took them off the meds that they were on. That didn't make any difference, and then they discovered that it was a genetic issue, and it actually led to damage in the brain as well. So a lot of these, in fact, I think all of the kids had some kind of sort of brain-related issues, and had some real trouble. So, and then they discovered there was these recessive genes that they didn't know about. And they were finding also that it happened much more in families, like royal families that have, their first cousins had married or whatever, and that kind of stuff, because these recessive genes were being replicated, and then these kids would have all these issues. So yeah. I'm holding up pretty good. How's Tina holding up? Did we find out? How's Tina? Salutations from the Rebel Time Lady to Jim the Evo. Everyone go follow Jim the Evo. No way is that Dr. Rodney McKay in the flesh. Yeah, the sweaty flesh. Rugen, it's pretty sad. This is like post McKay trying to work out and be a human, and it's horrible. I don't like being human. I keep saying to my son, can we use you for parts? It would just be so much easier than me having to look after myself. Caliber Picture says, here in Germany, there's a like Lego company called Blue Bricks, which are making many licensed Stargate sets. Really? I've never even heard of them. You should look into it. Also, a glowing ZPM in the future. Huh. Oh, wow. Maybe, can you throw a link in here? It'd be good to see. Scott Birch says, I do 30 minutes treadmill, then chest and arms for 20 minutes. So you're doing 50 minutes of exercise. Chest and arms, do you mean, so you're doing like weights and stuff? Weights and stuff, I just don't, I mean, look, I think that's probably the best way to do it, weights and things, but too much concentration involved. I can't do my learn part if I'm waving my arms around with weights. I'm going to smack myself in the head. What is your ultimate purpose? Oof, dough-tails, my God. What is my ultimate purpose, like on this planet or in general? What is my ultimate purpose? The ultimate purpose of the exercise, honestly, is just to stay fit and positive, if that makes sense. I really find that if I sort of let myself go, at first, when I let myself go, I'm very happy. I would call it fat and happy, and I really enjoy that. After a while, though, it drags me down. I feel the black dog nipping at my heels, and I get just depressed, basically. I guess it's like it's an impending depression, and the exercise just really, really helps get me out of that. And I read that somewhere, that it was good for ADHD, it was good for depression, and that kind of stuff. So honestly, a big part of it right now is just to make me a little more positive. I need to be a little more Rachel Luttrell. I need to be a little bit more Rachel than McKay at this point. So Malazzi on Dial the Gate said, industry in Canada, but dismal at the moment. Said industry in Canada. Yeah, Wayne. It is the industry in general, I think, is in trouble, because we're not keeping up with the times with stuff. The scripts for things are just regurgitated things. I will say this: no spoilers, but I went to see Furiosa this weekend, and I tried to love it. There were parts of it I really, really loved, and there were parts of it that I was not so keen on. I think the biggest issue that it has is that wonderful Thor guy. He's just such a lovely guy, and he has such kind eyes, and he's playing a villain, and he's doing he's sort of funny and jovial and all, and it just he seems like he's in the wrong movie. Like I like my Mad Max movies full of post-apocalyptic lore. I like the war. But Baz was saying, he wanted more of the war boys and more of this sort of post-apocalyptic cultural craziness that is there. There is some beautiful, beautiful stuff in it, and I think everyone should go and see it. Go and see it in IMAX. It's spectacular. I didn't even need my motion sickness glasses, so definitely go and see that. But yeah, part of the problem with the industry, I think, is that they're so risk adverse that they're not going to let George Miller make another freaking Mad Max without throwing names in it. She was good. She was good. But again, I think it's not that I needed more action. It's just I needed a little less talking, perhaps, for me. Fury Road to me was the pinnacle. I have to see Road Warrior again because I haven't seen Road Warrior the second Mad Max again, and then I will watch Thunderdome as well because I've heard that it's maybe not as terrible as I remember it. But Fury Road to me is a pinnacle of filmmaking and a wonderful fever dream of a Mad Max future that I just absolutely adored. And so that is really hard to live up to. But there were definitely sequences in this film that more than lived up to it. I love the way he uses special effects, although I will argue that this time I felt like I saw some more than I normally do. And they weren't as sort of purposely stagey as as he's done in the past. Anyways, go and see it. It is not my favorite Mad Max movie, but it's got some amazing. I just do not know how he does some of the stuff he does. But again, I don't want to take it out on Chris Hemsworth. It's not his fault. It's just that I just don't think he was right for the part, and I don't think he's right for that world. He was too. I don't know. There was something sort of too perfect about him, if that makes sense. And they stuck a nose on him and stuff to try to sort of make him more villainous. But it just, I like Immortal Joe and was it what's it Toe Cutter and these crazy freaking Australian madmen that they cast in previous movies. I just think, and people I don't know who they are. Then I don't know whether they're going to die in a second or they're going to die in an hour or if they're going to be the star of the next movie. I think that Hollywood is so terrified to take any risks that they want to say oh no, my job's safe because I got Chris Hemsworth for that movie. I don't know, and I could be wrong. That may not be the way it works. But that was my feeling of it. So yeah, I think the industry is not just in Canada as a problem. America catches a cold, we catch COVID. I mean, Canada always gets it worse than the States doing this stuff. And I think that I've always said that I think the film industry is like this beautiful patch of grass stretching out into the sky, and underneath all of it's being caved away because everyone's just standing on this very thin level of turf. Because what's a movie worth anymore? You can download it. I'll be able to get Mad Max. I'll be able to get the new Mad Max online in a day or two, maybe a week. And maybe not the best quality of it or whatever. But the reality is, how do you price a movie like that? How do you I went as an event with my son and my wife, and I made them sit on either side of me. And I talked in an Australian accent for the whole day. And I had a giant thing of popcorn. I ate it all myself. And I had a Coke, and I only let Jane have one sip. And I was Immortal Dave, sitting in the middle there. I was so excited about this movie. It could, frankly, only let me down because I was so excited about going to see this movie. But, what do we got? Daddy, hurry. What's going on? Melancy on the delegate. So what's this? Blue Bricks. They're phenomenal. Oh, good. Okay, great. Because I've seen some really bad Stargate Lego stuff in the past. Industries are dismal everywhere right now, across all sectors. Yeah, it's funny. I heard Smith scary as hell. SMF? Don't know what that means. I don't procrastinate. I'm ADD. Well done. Tina, Robert, did you ever check out the film Atticus Institute? I have not. No, I should do that. By the way, thank you for the boy name suggestion. I'm the one who asked you in Basingstoke for your favorite name. At the autograph table, I'm still thinking about what to choose, but until end of October, still time. David's a nice name. So's Rodney as well. Don't you have wedding anniversary soon? God, do I? I hope it's not too soon. No, it'll be June. It's the longest day of the year, June 21st, right? Is that June 21st or July 21st? One of the two. Do you have something nice planned for the day? Admit it, you're doing all of this You're doing all this for this. Well, that could be a big part of it. Yeah, I mean, I think once you have a family, you tend to, your reason for being is somewhat your family. But yeah, I definitely feel like I want to learn. I think my reason for being, I just want to learn stuff and I want to be able to pass some of that on. I guess that's my ultimate goal is I love learning stuff and figuring out how to do stuff and maybe that's all over the place. I'm not a master of anything, jack of all, master of none. But I revel in that stuff, and I like the idea that maybe some of that can inspire people to do the same. All right, not bad. Just rewatched Rise of the Planet of the Apes. You were in the damn decent shape in that picture. Was I? I wasn't, Black Romulan. I think I was in pretty terrible shape then. But no, I was younger. How about that? I heard a great portmanteau the other day. Procrastinating. That's pretty good. Where you clean the house instead of the actual thing you should be doing, but at least you're still doing something productive. Well, that's Jane to a T. Jane is the master of procrastinating. I am a procrastinator organizer in that I'll organize stuff instead of actually getting stuff done. Tina is only managing. Tina, oh come on, let's get you smiling. Procrastinating is definitely a thing. I like that procrastinating. Get that in a dictionary. Hang in there. Make sure you get yourself a nice treat if you can. You deserve it. Yeah, you got to treat yourself. It's true. It's true, Tina. It's important. You got to get in there. I mean, definitely be listening to that Rebel Time Lady advice. She's a Rebel Time Lady, for God's sake. You got to listen to her. I'm a writer. I don't get paid unless I write. That's motivation. Yeah, that's pretty good, Turbo Turtle. What are you writing? What kind of stuff are you writing? I mean, I only write when Jane makes me, basically. Like Jane and I had talked about this horror film idea, and she needed a script for it. So I wrote that. And it didn't take an awful long time. I wrote 5 pages a day. I got the script done in about, I don't know, a few weeks. And it's awful, and I've got to read it over, and I've got to do a lot of editing and stuff. But that's the main, honestly, I find like one of the biggest problems with script writing for me is getting the script, just getting something out there to work on. And once you've got that, I call it the puke draft, where you just puked out the story. Once you've done that, I think you're in much better shape. The problem I find is that people will, puke out these drafts of a script and then start sending it around. You're like, no, don't do that. Send the script once it's brilliant. It doesn't come out brilliant. It needs to be rewritten. I guarantee you, no matter how good you are, it needs to be rewritten. So I know I'm gonna have to sit down with it and do that. David, how would a dude who can't move ward off the black dog? Asking for an acquaintance? Yes, definitely not for asking for me. Gimpy G, I don't know. That's a tough one. I guess to me, that's the joy of the internet, though, isn't it? I mean, it's like being able to sort of reach out and talk to people and stuff. I think isn't that the best way to go? You tell us, Lance. What is the best? How do you defeat the black dog? Because that is a tough one. Be positive. Oh, there you go. Problem solved. Thank you so much, Damien. We're done. The problem. This is the problem. I'm gonna posit this about mental health, is that because it's a spectrum, because it's something we all understand somewhat. We all have a sense of depression. We all have a sense of ADHD. We all have a sense of manic depressive stuff or whatever. We all, I think we can all somewhat understand an aspect of that. But for many of us, it's manageable. For many of us, it's yes, you have bad days, you have good days, but you get through type thing. They're a real mental, and I think that makes it very difficult for people to understand when that becomes insurmountable for people. Depression isn't about just cheer up type thing. It can be clinical, it can be chemical, it can be environmental, it can be there's many different reasons for it. And I've got friends and family and stuff that there's when they're down, it doesn't matter how funny and charming and lovely and kind and caring and empathetic and everything that you be, there's nothing's going to cheer them up, because they're not. It is an illness. It's like you don't cheer someone out of COVID. You don't entertain someone out of a cold or a fever or something. And I think the same thing sort of needs to be applied to the mental health side of stuff. I mean, there's an awful lot of focus on talk about it. We got to talk about mental health. We got to talk about this. We got to talk about that. Well, guess what? we need to do something about it. It's not just talking about it. Talking about it does not solve the problem. It can alleviate some of the stress and the guilt and stuff around it, perhaps, but it does not solve the problem. We can talk about it till the cows come home. We need to start addressing this stuff. This is the same issue that I find with the educational system, where you can fill the bucket all you want. I mean, big freaking deal. And what you need to do is light a fire and get people excited about stuff. I feel like we're just trying to quantify stuff. Oh, look how many people responded to this. Let's chat mental health stuff. I feel like every year there's another appeal to talk about mental health, and yes, I think there's a certain element of that there, but without the proper systems in place to treat this stuff, I feel like it's always going to be sort of on the margins on this stuff. Anyways, random question. Have you ever worked with Wes Johnson? I don't think so, Cyric. How would I know Wes Johnson? David's immune system getting that workout. Your white blood cells are true warriors this year. Yeah, there you go. It's true. Yep. Rebel. Nothing has caught fire, so a great weekend. How about you? Lance has an extraordinary story, which I'm sure he would be happy to share with you. And are you streaming yet? What's happened, Lance? Are you doing any streaming, or has it just become? It's just such a pain in the ass to do. Because frankly, I could listen to Lance talk forever. He's fantastic. So go follow his YouTube channel and check out his Twitch and stuff, because he's got a lot of fun things to say, and extraordinary stories. One of them being his house burning down while he was gaming with James R. Gurney. Some people have said that perhaps James was responsible for it, because he did try to steal all of his followers when he did, when the house caught fire. But there's literally footage of Lance being wheeled out of the house in a smoke-filled room, and then they lost the entire house. And he's had to fight with lawyers and wretched insurance companies and all sorts of a-holes, and people who just obviously don't consider all of the anguish and pain involved in that, as well as not wanting to repair or return the assistive tech that Lance had as well. So it's just extraordinary how he's had to fight for a lot of stuff. And he's crazy funny too. And crazy. Lunch was great. Glad I got it in today, even if we had to cut things a little short. Yes, I let Ari escape early from our chat today, because not early, but I was very conscious of the fact that Ari had said that he was going to go out for lunch with his kids, and I got to say I'm a bit jealous, because I it's rare that I get to go and go out for a meal with my son or something, and I think it's not just important, it's entirely selfish. I just love it. You just got to David Goggins. I have no idea what that means. The email I sent you. My Chinese supplier has Dell PowerEdge caddies for you, but need an address to send and how many. Got them free in a big order. Oh my God. Oh wow. Wayne, that's fantastic. Okay, well, I better get checking my email then, shouldn't I? Put that on my list of things to do. Good afternoon, evening, as it is here in Yorkshire. Sorry I missed the beginning. I was on FaceTime with my 90-year-old grandfather, who is very tech savvy. Oh, good for him. Well, 90. I mean, come on. I mean, he's like, I remember my granddad was all big on, he used to lease all of his technology, because he said, well, it changes so fast. So fast, David. It changes very quickly. So he would lease his TV, and then every couple of months he would go rent another one instead, and same thing with the stereo and computers. And he was an amazing guy. He would have loved he would have freaking loved the interwebs. Would have loved it. He also didn't like taxes. How's it going, brother? Very good, Shake and Milk. Very good. Yourself, I hope, is better than half of whatever that is. Like, is that like a half saluting? It's like a half salute emoji there. My God, listen to my voice. That's why I walk the Mastiff so much. He needs work, and I get the exercise as a secondary event. If I don't have a dog, I wouldn't walk. Well, that is literally the reason why my wife and son got a dog, was because they were worried that I was never going to leave the house if I didn't have a dog. And frankly, I wouldn't if I didn't have to. But this morning I had to be up crack of dawn, take her to the vet and take her for a bit of a walk. And I just took her for another little walk while the rain let up, and came in and did my torture device. Gimpy G, my foot somehow, what? but it didn't feel so bad. So I guess it wasn't that bad. What? Your foot's bugging you? Rebel Time Lady's foot's bothering her? Jesus. Okay. Please say hi to Rayleigh. Hello, Rayleigh. How are you? Or Riley? Riley. Riley. Is that how you spell? That's a good way of spelling Riley, I got to say. Missy RY says, please say hi to Riley. Well, I think I've just said I've said Riley an awful lot now. But hello. That tool guy has had his message retracted. Okay, caught you. It's me, Chris. Hello, Chris. How are you? Oh, it's Tina. Oh, I see. Caught Tina. I see. Mike Damore says, hi. Please remake Stargate. Yeah, I wish I could. There's always at least one person who says that, and God, I wish I could. I wish I had the rights. I think for a while there, Joe Flanagan was looking into trying to get the rights to Atlantis so we could just relaunch it. And he had like private funders and stuff involved, but it just sounded like an absolute nightmare. Do you know your DNA can tell you which exercises work best for you? Really? I always hated running until I found out I was more naturally suited to long distance running over sprinting. Huh. Okay, Rensoon. So what do I do? How do I check my DNA for those kind of phenotype markers? There was a service that James Argurney was talking about where you can get you get your entire DNA code. Not like, so I have 23andMe, so probably everyone has my 23andMe now because they got hacked. But 23andMe gives you certain markers. They can tell you whether you've got certain markers or not. There's one that I had. There was an odd one that I was surprised that I had. Anyways, but it's not the full DNA. You don't have access to your full DNA, or maybe you do. I wonder if you ask for. I wonder if I ask them for if I say I want my data from 23andMe, they have to deliver it because of that wonderful UN EU thing that there is. I wonder if they'd have to give me my entire DNA sequence while I did that. I wonder. I'm going to look into that, actually. Hello, everyone. Sushimi, how are you? Tool Guy says, I've been playing with the 3D printer today and trying to make a ZPM USB charger and making the charge indicator show how depleted the ZPM is. Tool Guy, keep me posted. That's freaking brilliant. I will sign them. I think that is fantastic. That's so fun. I love that because we were talking about that yesterday, and then true to form, one of my fabulous YouTube friends is already working on that. Well done, Tool Guy. That sounds amazing. Giovanni says, I listen to podcasts when I go on the exercise bike. I find it goes much faster, especially with rewatch podcasts. Yeah, I mean, the podcast thing, I could do that because I listen to a lot of different podcasts. In fact, I wanted to start doing like what was I calling them? Like a scam, like a scam alert thing. Like there's all these amazing scams that I've heard about. There's one that actually got me. What was it? What did I call it? Scam something or another. Anyways, so here's the idea, and I may have already told people this, but I'm going to tell you again because I'm just so fascinated by it. Guy gets a phone call, says, "Hey, I think I've created something that will be able to predict stock picks." And the guy goes, yeah, sure, whatever. He goes, okay, tell you what. Here's a stock that I'm telling you right now is going to go up. You can buy it if you want or not, whatever. Just keep track of it. A week later, the guy calls back. Sure enough, the stock's gone up. So the guy's like, okay, well, that's one stock. He goes, yeah, no, I get it. One stock, totally fine. This happens 2 or 3 weeks in a row. Every time he picks the stock goes up. And finally, the guy who's being called says, what is the deal here? Like you could be, why are you calling me about that? What do you need from me if you can pick these stocks? Why do you need me for anything? He goes, well, this is it. He goes, the next one, what I want to do is make a big all-in win. So I'm looking to put together $100,000. I need a minimum of like 10 grand from everybody to put this thing together. The next stock goes up, we make a fortune. And this guy from the story said he laughed because he was a university student and he said, look, I've got like $5, let alone $10,000. And the guy on the phone went, crap, and then hung up. But he was obsessed with the idea. He's like, how the hell did this guy pick all of these winning stocks? And like week after week after week, he was picking these stocks and they were all going up. Like if this guy had caught, like if the guy who had been called had bought those stocks, they would have all gone up over those 3 weeks. He would have made money off this thing. So how is this a scam? And this is how it worked. I think this is fantastic. They took a database of names and they called half of them and said the stock was going up, and half of them that said the stock was going down. Stock goes up, they just throw away that other half of people and say, thank you, goodbye, that's it. They don't even bother calling them back. The people whose stock's gone up, they do the same thing again. They divide it. And they say, well, look, next week this stock is going up, and then next week this stock is going up. They've got two different stocks. If both the stocks go up, they can call them all. If one of the stocks goes up, one of them goes down, the ones that the stock went up, they take them, the other guys, goodbye, off they go. And they just keep going until they've narrowed it down to a small group of like 50 people who are like just salivating for a big stock win and wondering how this guy can pick these winners every time. And then they'll scam him for the money that they want. So I just thought, wow, there is a way around everything. The other one that was terrifying that I thought was there's this scam where someone will call you claiming to be from the bank, and your bank. And again, they just call enough people until someone goes like, oh yeah, because they've got the right bank. And they said, look, we called you. Obviously you can't trust us. We're going to send you a notification from the official app right now saying that you are, just to clarify. And sure enough, your app will call. Your app will go doop, up it comes. It goes, are you currently talking to your bank? And you go yes, and then you go, you're fine, and then you can talk to these people. That's that. And then they rip you off because they're not from the bank. What they were doing was they were calling, and then while they were calling you, someone was also calling your bank and claiming to be you, and then your bank would send the notification to make sure that it was in fact you, and but they were claiming that they'd sent it. So just these, I can't help it. They're ingenious ways around the security on these systems, and I think you could do a whole podcast or a whole YouTube thing or a YouTube Shorts or something just on how the mechanisms of these scams, because I think they're just so cunning. I mean, evil, but absolutely cunning. Anyway, so there you go. All right, I am now babbling on. I have been talking for way too long. David, how do you envision advancements in DNA technology influencing future scientific discoveries? Oof, Imperador, always with the good questions. Hello again, by the way, Imperador. It's been a while. Imperador always has good questions. How do I envision advancements in DNA technology influencing future scientific discoveries? I mean, I don't think there's any way around it. I mean, biotech is sort of here to stay, and the whole sort of CRISPR revolution is extraordinary. I mean, the last chapter of this book I was reading for my Burn&Learns, which was the Song of the Cell, sort of put together this both a positive and a negative future of this idea of a future where we could create clones of ourselves for spare parts. You know, that CRISPR could very well bring us back to eugenics, this idea of like the perfect human. I mean, and are we in effect, through the use of CRISPR and genetic engineering, are we in effect is this eugenics? I mean, in a way, if it is picking the best of a bunch, that is, I suppose, at its base core is a form of eugenics. You know, if we're choosing between female and male children, is again another form of eugenics. And I think that obviously because of its Nazi its association with the Nazi Party and their approach to this kind of Aryan race, this horrible idea that you had to have blonde hair and blue eyes to get anywhere in the world, and everyone else should just be gotten rid of or sterilized or whatever. And this was and eugenics was not just in Germany. It was all this was around the world. There was a feeling that we should rid the world of people with lives not worth living type thing. Just horrendous, absolutely horrendous. But is this a possible future for us? Are we going to get into a state where we are selecting the most intelligent embryo? We are selecting the most the embryo that is most likely to be the basketball player we always wanted, or the skateboarder we always wanted, or the public speaker, or the movie star, or how granular are we going to allow ourselves to become in the selection of fetuses or blastocysts, whatever stage it is that you can do these kind of tests at. Potentially, you can test the humans and say like, I don't know, I wouldn't breed with him. I mean, imagine that. Imagine a service that tells you, basically, this is nah, you know, you can, you know, sleep with them for sure, whatever, or her, but you don't want to have kids with them because you're not going to have the perfect child this way. Oh, there's a match. There's a perfect. I mean, it really is kind of creepy where we can go with that. So that was just kind of a creepy thing. How is it going to sneak into the future? Um, I think the most wonderful potential for it is obviously the curing of genetic diseases and stuff. I mean, they're getting close to ridding the world of sickle cell disease and other sort of genetic issues that can actually be, you know, that can be fixed. I mean, things that were just there are problems in the genetic makeup in the DNA of a kid, and if we can solve those problems, then why on earth wouldn't we want to? You know. So I think that is probably going to come to heads with a lot of the religious aspects on this stuff as well, and people's belief systems on that. So, anyways, that sounds awesome. I geek out over one of those. Emperador says, "Long time no see." Oh no, sorry. Rebel Tomley says, "To Emperador, long time no see." Elizabeth said, "It's so good for everything, but it's so hard to start if you're not feeling it." Yeah, no kidding. "Can't Hurt Me" by David Goggins' audiobook, 100% best inspiration. Really? Okay, I'll check it out. David, thank you. Bite Me. Hi. Hi, are you? How are you? Bite me, I'm Klingon. Deterrent Jr. says, "Was supposed to go run in this evening, and instead I'm watching Mr. Hewler talk about exercise. Not a bad outcome." Well, get on a freaking treadmill or something while you're doing it. Oh man, I'm supposed to be inspiring you to do exercise, not distracting you from exercise. God, I've ruined everything. Dayturn Jr. Make sure you get out there. I think it's. I do look. I mean, I say to my son, who doesn't listen to me, but I wish for him that he can find a healthy habit. Like it would be really nice. I think it'd probably be easier early on to establish a need for exercise, an addiction to exercise, a habit, would be great. And a lot of the people who struggled with their weight when they were kids are much better at it now. They look much better than I do, because they've always had to exercise. So it's always been a part of their lives. For me, I never had to exercise. I never had to exercise until I was, as I say, until my late 20s. That's when I started showing. The tire began to appear, and I became what I ate far more. I became more sedentary and ate even worse stuff. So, anyways, the problem is I love junk food. I hate healthy food for the most part. If I could just give up food for a while, that'd be amazing. I'd be fine at that. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way because you got to eat this stuff. Working out releases serotonin, which gives the euphoric feeling. Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel that right after I get this kind of woohoo, and then I start to crash. And this is part of my reward for exercising, is actually getting to do this. So I've just had a baby girl. That's why baby girl, Imperador, congratulations. That is amazing. What do we think? I mean, Meredith could work as a girl's name as well, I suppose. Congratulations, Imperador. I think you will very much enjoy that. It's rather fun having kids, I got to say. I always thought that having a kid makes you an adult. It doesn't. It actually just makes you a kid again, which is kind of fun. Or my mom says, "You had the baby brother you always wanted." What are your thoughts on AI being used in film and TV production? That's a good question, Turbot Turtle. I think as a tool, yeah. I think it'll make great writers potentially a little bit more productive in their writing, and it's going to make bad writers more productive in their writing. I mean, I think they'll be able to put out. I think bad writers are going to be able to put out far more bad writing than they could before. And potentially they won't even be needed for that. But I still think that it's funny. And Ari and I were talking about this today. I think that there is going to be a premium on human. There's going to be. I don't want to see an AI pretending to be David working out. What's the point of that? You know what I mean? I want to see the real sweaty, disgusting Rodney McKay that I remember from Stargate. I think there's that connection. I think community and connection and that kind of approach to social media and the world and stuff is going to be far, far more important. I mean, you're going to have these. I think you're going to have these sort of these Frankenstars or whatever. These meta-human type stars that have sort of an online persona and stuff, but aren't human. And I think they'll be fantastic. I think they'll be amazing. And some of those Avengers movies, you might as well just populate it with like, I mean, look how great the Hulk is, because they've got a good actor and a great CG character and stuff. I mean, I could see a lot more of that happening in the future. But also just, when you're spending $500 million on a movie, humans are unpredictable, and they sometimes do things that could get you in trouble or could lose your investment. So I think there's going to be a lot more of that happening in the film world. But like I say, I don't, you know, I think it will write scripts. I think it will write pretty good scripts. I mean, the fact of the matter is, Hollywood is completely addicted to formula scripts. They're absolutely addicted to formula approaches to every script. They always have the same characters in it. They always have, a little bit of fun. I just watched the trailer for Bad Boys 3 or whatever the hell it is. I thought it was a Skittles commercial. Like, I really did. I thought they were doing a commercial. I was like, this doesn't look like a movie. This looks like it looked like a commercial for Skittles, and it took me a while to figure out, like, this is a movie trailer. Like, it has become so product based, and the movie stars are so sort of niche in what they do. I think there, there's a certain part of me, there's a certain part of me that wants to see that kind of crazy action stuff. I really enjoyed the first couple of Bad Boys movies. But at the same time, I feel like AI might as well write that. Like, I don't think it speaks to it's not speaking to anything. I think an AI could take the formula that's worked in the past and create something that would absolutely work for the demographics that they want and everything. I think who's going to get put out of work for that is less writers and more executives, more than anything else. Like, mid-level executives are going to be. What's the point? Why do we need people to go figure out? We don't need people to go look at spreadsheets anymore. We've got intelligent spreadsheets at this point. So I think, what the heck? Who just gave me $100? What the hell? What is that? That's fake, right? Am I about to get scammed? Am I about to get scammed or something? I don't know what this is. I don't know what that is. It says, Richard Warnock, $100. Nice truth. Wow. Well, thank you, Richard. That's incredibly generous of you. Thank you. I'm embarrassed. Thank you. That's very nice of you. I feel like I should have been less sweaty and more dressed up for this, but thank you. I'm quite. I'm quite optimistic about the AI stuff, because I feel like, there is the industry is so inefficient in so many ways. And I feel like this in a way will allow us to sort of shake down. If you want to be making those massive products, then you can be working with AI, and you can work within the realms of what they want. And there's still a room for creatives and stuff in there. But if you just want to sort of get down to the nuts and bolts and do some AI is never going to make a dog's breakfast, because that's just entirely all of its flaws and problems and silly things that fortunate accidents and such. You know what I mean? Like, that was a little film that I made years ago. And nor does it want to. Like, I just don't think. Now, that said, the script that I recently wrote, I used ChatGPT to help me out with some of the science behind it, because it's an entomological horror. So just all about bugs, and while I had a pretty good understanding of them thanks to my friends who are entomologists, I needed a little bit more information on some of the stuff, and ChatGPT was amazing about that. It's great for coming up with names as well. I mean. And taglines and stuff like that. Again, I don't know that I would use them unedited. I often find, like, a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of that. I get to pick and choose from them. But as a brainstorming device, it's fantastic. I think it's absolutely wonderful. I mean, but then again, I'm a tech optimist. Like, I've always been like this, and I think there's a danger in that too, because I think there's a tendency just to assume the Pollyanna, everything's going to be wonderful, isn't it beautiful, this technology is so cool, gee whiz approach to stuff that has absolutely led us down the road to some pretty abysmal social media issues and such. So yeah, I think it's going to, there's not even I think it is going to become a huge part of the film industry. I think it is going to absolutely cannibalize and possibly destroy whole regions of the industry. But I don't think that it's going to replace personal stories and personal connections and again like this community stuff. I think more than anything in the future, if I was going to make a guess about where things were going, I would say like this is going to be more important than ever, once AI is out there, because sure, it can be deep faked or whatever, and I can be made to say whatever people want. But the reality is that that deep fake can't have a dinner with a few hundred people or go to a convention or that kind of stuff. So I think there's always going to be that craving for connection and for originality and for uniqueness. I mean, I think that's one of the other reasons why I'm sort of kind of bullish on all of the uh, crafts and stuff, and cosplay. People wanting to be, they want to build their own things. They want to do their own, they want their own unique artifacts and merch and this kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm quite excited about it, to be honest. But that's not to say there's not going to be a huge upheaval in it. Also, I mean, what happens when you can write, Captain America fights Bill Shatner's, on the deck of the Daedalus, while Vader invades Mars or whatever. I mean, like literally, you're going to be able to type that into a prompt, and a little film will show up, a little short will show up that can do that. But I sort of feel like I feel like, well, that's just making the tools easier for people to use. It still comes down to people coming up with fun ways of combining this stuff. Now, the copyright stuff will be a nightmare. But isn't the copyright stuff a nightmare already? Like, I feel like people are already making their own little fan cuts and stuff like that. Some people seem to embrace it better than others. MGM's terrible. They just shut down everybody. Like, as soon as you try to do anything that might be related to Stargate, they'll lawyer up, basically. And a lot of companies are like that, trying to protect their intellectual property. But I mean, what do you do when you can just type something into an AI model, and it spits out a video that of what you just said? I mean that's extraordinary. And again, what's that gonna what will that lead to? That'll lead to some pretty freaking crazy cool mashups and stuff. All right, I better scroll down here. All right, George Judd said, I was just about to mention it. The Dog's Breakfast was surprisingly well written. Oh, thank you. I really liked it, and at the end, I really liked the punchline. Oh, thank you. It's sort of a one joke, but it was just about working with friends and having some fun and experimenting with film, like, which I just in a way that I'd never done, and I absolutely loved it. It's still one of my most favorite film projects, and strangely, one of my most profitable ones. It's one of the few films that I get deferral checks from on a well, not a regular basis, but every so often. And it's because Jane produced it, and Jane is really good about following up on this stuff, and she's sending checks to people all the time for this thing. Like, not just me. I mean, it's like she's literally sending. I mean, I think it's pretty well dried up now, but for years there, she was sending, and it was always nice because it always happened just before Christmas, so people would get a little check from the movie, and any of the crew who worked on it and cast and stuff would get a check sort of around Christmas time from us. It was like a little Christmas present. We loved it. My beard looks fantastic. Oh, thank you. I'm hoping it looks, right for what I'm about to attempt to audition for too. You bought the DVDs. You bought the DVD for Dog's Breakfast? Oh, thank you. I watched it on years and literally yelled when Chris Judge appeared on the screen. Isn't he great, Tina? He really is. He's so freaking funny. Furiosa only has around 30 lines in the movie. Dialogue tends to slow things down, George Miller says. I'd like to hear your perspective on this as an actor, if you can. I would agree with George Miller, frankly, which is weird because I'm the sort of guy who does a lot of talking. The problem is I think it's a crutch for a lot of people. I mean, film is a visual medium. It's supposed to be about seeing what happens, not hearing what happens. And I feel like, especially in a lot of modern stuff, people have to feel the need to explain what's going on. And we need to see it happen. And George Miller is amazing. Furiosa is a perfect example of it's almost like a silent movie. It doesn't need dialogue. You know exactly what's going on. It doesn't matter where you're from, what language you speak, what kind of environment you grew up in. You understand what is happening in that movie. And I felt like in this one, there was a bit more discussion. Yeah, it just, I mean, again, I don't want to sort of like be a downer on it because really enjoyed the movie. It's just very hard to beat Fury Road, which is kind of perfect. I feel like, look, it wouldn't have made any sense if you cut out all the stuff that I'm complaining about and just showed the action. But there was a part of me that felt like it could be whittled down even more. Like I felt like it could still be trimmed a bit, and that I would still understand what was going on. And what I didn't understand, I felt like I could fill in myself. Whereas I felt like there were things being filled in for me that I didn't need really. What do we got here? It's a really good perspective. I think environmental storytelling and what's not being said often says much more. Yeah, I think, but again, this is part of the problem. This is the fear that runs Hollywood. This is the fear that leads to shitty movies, shitty big budget movies, is that people are terrified that terrified that something won't work. But it's a joke. We got to make sure they know that it's a joke. You know what I mean, or whatever. It's got to be a joke that appeals to everybody. And as soon as you get a joke that appeals to everyone, it's not funny anymore, right? So, or as soon as you've got as soon as you start sort of taking polls on what works for people and what doesn't, again, I just feel like once you again, this is also the difference in your approach to filmmaking as well, right? If filmmaking is an art, it is a very different thing. You don't expect money. I mean, and if you get money, it's going to be from a patron. Well, from like Jesus, for this guy, Richard Warnock, who just gave me $100. Holy cow! It's going to be Patreons, right? If people want to see your work, they will pay to see your work. But that's the art world, and the art world will never have the same kind of money as something like, unless they get incredibly popular, I guess. And then you've got the business world, which is where I think Hollywood is at now. Hollywood has long ago stopped being a place where art is made. The worst thing that ever happened to Hollywood was the word content. As soon as they started talking about creating content, you go like, oh my God, well if it's just about showing someone something, then that's no longer art, is it? So I think there's a lot of stuff. A lot of this is going to shake down. I'll tell you, one of the biggest things that I've got out of AI is that it has literally got me questioning what creativity is. Because if creativity is us just mining our past for inspiration and stories, and then we write from that, then AI can do that. You know what I mean? In fact, it will do it much better than we would, because it has so many more stories available to it. It has so many more different perspectives and context and information to draw from than a single human and their life would have. So the question then is, do you believe that the process of creating something is entirely a unique and individual thing? Or is it something that can be replicated with a machine? I'm beginning to wonder if it can be replicated with a machine. Now, that said, I also think that maybe there is a certain madness there's a certain organic weirdness that we can contribute to what we make that potentially is the difference between the two. That maybe all of those imperfections and gooey, squishy biology stuff is what will separate us from the sort of the artificial stuff that's being created. Man, you guys are really, really good at distracting me, because I've just talked for way, way longer than I'm supposed to. I'm supposed to get out of here. Thank you all very much. Give it to you. Sounds like AI is learning to be an internet troll already. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I think we're about to have a tsunami of misinformation and AI trolling stuff, and also AI phishing as well, right? So this AI is going to get really good at figuring out how to, what is the best way to find out what bank someone banks with. Great. Take that information, and now what is the best way to get that information from someone? What is the most likely route for hackers to get into? Again, AI is only going to help us do the terrible things that we do, in the same way that any tool or technology will do the same. I mean, in the same way that we could write, in the same way that when word processors showed up and we could write books, oh my God, we could write and produce our own books. We don't need oh my God, everyone's going to write a novel. Well, they're not, but they're also going to write hate speech, and they're also going to write novels about things that they're going to write alternate historical facts and mistruths and lies. So you got to sort of take the good with the bad, or figure out how you're going to deal with that. And I feel like that's sort of where we need to look at the AI stuff now. I also feel like, frankly, because of this, I think we're going to have to move to a for pay content structure. I mean, I think we're going to have to move to a point where we're going to pay for the news, we're going to pay for the things we want to read, because otherwise, how do you trust? How do you trust it? And then what happens? Then the people who don't have the money to pay for it are going to just get fed the crap that is trying to feed on them in some way. Because if it's free, it's not free. You're paying the bill basically. So it's I mean I'm weirdly optimistically pessimistically optimistic about the future with this stuff. I think there's a lot of stuff going on here. Others have said what you have said as well, so it's likely a good point. Oh, good. All right, so I'm not alone on that. There's a chatbot on a German satire site that only insults you. That's pretty good. I kind of like that, like a McKay bot. Yes, indeed. I actually made a McKay bot. What was that one? There was some site that was doing. You could give it a prompt and it would pretend to be that, and I did a McKay one that was kind of fun. Yeah, indeed. Underestimating your audience is something I see happens a lot. Yeah, it's underestimating your audience. It's also, I think, part of it is trying to appeal to all audiences, right? And if you're trying to appeal to all audiences, then you're trying to reach all levels of intellect and understanding and wisdom and age and sex and everything. I mean, if you're trying to, they want that because of the ridiculous cost of making this stuff, and I put that squarely on the shoulders of the above the line stuff. I mean, that money is going to producers and to the stars. I'm sorry, but like I know that's probably not the best, not what people want to hear, but the reality is most movies and television shows have a few people at the top who get paid shed loads of money, and then everyone else is scrounging to get scale or whatever whatever it is. And I'm very lucky in that I've been in this industry for so long that I can sort of pick and choose stuff a bit more. But it means that you're only doing, like I've always said, it's art, location, or money. And if it's art, you'll do it for no money, and you don't care where it's shooting. If it's location, you go, wow, this is amazing. I mean, Newfoundland, I'm going to Newfoundland to shoot something. I freaking love Newfoundland. It's amazing. As it turns out, there's also some money as well. Fantastic. And a bit, I mean, we'll see. I don't know about the art. We'll see. So you have to keep that in mind as well. All right, I should wrap this up. Heaven forbid a studio take a chance and let creative. Yeah, they don't want to do anything new. They don't want to do anything new. It all has to have. They call it pre-awareness, which is one of my most hated terms, along with content. Although I will use the term content once in a while. They call it pre-awareness, like you're aware of it before you're aware of it. And I'm like, you mean aware of something? Like pre-awareness. What does that mean? You're aware of it before you're aware of. I don't know. Anyway, it's Hollywood. They make shit up all the time. Would be nice with more original IPs. In my opinion, risk management ruins creativity and innovation. Same thing affects the gaming industry. Well, that's exactly it. I mean, that is exactly it. And that, I think, is what speaks to something like, our silly little approach to A Dog's Breakfast was, that's my money. Like, I risked my money on that. I didn't risk anything. I spent my money. That was my hobby, was to make a movie. I took the money that I had from Stargate, and I recruited a bunch of my friends and friends in the crew and stuff, and we made a little movie. And I promised them that if I made money, that I would pay them, and that's exactly what we did. As money came in from the movie, we paid the people as much as we could, and I think in many cases they doubled what they were originally going to get because of that. And that just seems like a great system. It's not a great way to earn a living because you'd have to make 100 of those films in a year to have the kind of money coming in to support a Toronto lifestyle like mine with a kid and a wife and a very expensive princess dog. She's not expensive. She's just expensive to upkeep. She's free because she was a pound rescue, but yeah, the upkeep a little bit much. So I think that's an amazing approach for movies if you can do it. And I think it's the only way you're going to make the movie you want to make. Because as soon as other people have money in it, then they have a say. And as soon as they have a say, it's now becoming more of a democracy. And and I think it takes a certain type of person who could to sort of navigate that, to be able to direct a movie and write a movie and then stay true to their course. As an actor, I mean, for me, I find it very difficult because I feel like I'm constantly trying to please. I mean, as an actor, my job, I felt on set was to set the tone and to know my lines and not bump into things and do my job and keep things light and de-escalate things if they get bad. That's sort of what I tried to do. I mean, I'm not to say I was perfect at that, and I definitely had some days where I was the problem for sure. And I think, but when it comes to directing, I don't think you can do that. I think you have to have a very clear, singular vision, and the way the industry is going now, it's not designed for that. It's not. It's designed for everyone to have a say, and the days of these sort of like auteur madmen I think is, I mean, not necessarily a bad thing, but again, I would say not a bad thing. Not a bad thing to get rid of the assholes and the predators and all that kind of stuff. But I do think there needs to be a place for the director dictator. I mean, I think films that are the films that speak to me the most are the ones that are made by people who have a clear vision or have been allowed to have that clear vision without it being muddied by executives and money people. So if you want to treat art like a commodity, it's sure AI is going to be really great for producing a bunch of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. AI is already so advanced right now. The difference between GPT 3.5 and 4 is so big. I know it has made it's made a big jump for sure. And the audio side of it is really interesting as well. I think Hollywood goes through phases. We're currently in the remake phase, but I do hope it won't last much longer. I don't know, Nixie. It's a really good point. The remake phase though has been going on for a very long time. We used to mock the idea of a sequel to a movie back when I started. So that's 40 years ago or whatever. Is it 40 years? Good Lord, it's almost 40 years. Anyways, yeah, when I started, sequels were frowned upon. That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? And now they are the norm. I mean, yes, Fast and Furious is a bit of a joke that it's at 10 or whatever, but that was the nature of that type of product. At the same time, the sequels used to get cheaper. They're now getting more and more expensive. So that is also a weird thing. I don't know that we're going to get rid. I'm not. I don't. Yes, it goes through phases. I don't know if remaking is a phase. I don't know. That's an interesting sort of hypothesis that I would have to think about because right now, as long as it is based on the bottom line and on the financial and the investment side of this stuff, when it's based on stockholders, whatever they're called, shareholders, I don't think anyone's going to want to take those risks. I love the idea of starting a fund to make movies. I love the idea of having a bunch of people who want to make movies and they all put money in and they know that it may be a complete loss, but they're going to be a part of something. But that's art. You know what I mean? And even that is kind of perverting the concept of art because you go like, well, unless all those people are willing to just not be involved, but you wait. Everyone, you get 10 people, they all throw in like, I don't know, $100,000 or whatever. You make your movie. Well, all of a sudden, one of them has a daughter that wants to get into stuff, or a wife, can we do extras, or can we do, you know what I mean? Like, or oh, I've got access to the more people involved at the top, the more these things change, and the more power those people have at the top. I'm tempted to say that I almost like it more when the director just has the writer-director has all the power to some extent. Although even when that happens, to change my mind in the middle of the sentence, I also find that these older directors, I think they need someone to go like, dude, this is terrible. You need to stop. Someone needs to say like, that doesn't work, like they used to when they started. So I think, look, it's really interesting. I mean, I think I may now be too low blood sugar to actually think about this through, but yeah, I would be very curious. I'm very curious to see where it's going to go, and I hope to be a part of it. Like honestly, I mean, if I can start making films for cheaper, if I could make films myself, God, I'd love to do that. It's always been I'm so jealous of people who can just sort of grab a canvas and paint a painting and sell it for $1,000 or 10,000 or $1 million. I mean, God, wouldn't that be amazing to have that resource available to you? But film isn't like that. Film is not a one-person project. I mean, it's very, very rare. Although I must say, when I see the one-person films, when I see the films that someone has spent all of their energy and time on, there's a wonderful film called The Last Video Store, and it's this terrible, crazy horror thing. But my God, it is lovingly made, and kind of fun. And those are the kind of films I think that will that will work because someone has dedicated the sheer amount of time necessary to make these things, make it better than it would be made in Hollywood. In Hollywood, there's always a few crappy video VFX shots because they're like, yeah, no, it's coming out this weekend, so I don't care. It's not about when the movie's ready. It's about when the box office needs to be fed, when that monster needs to be fed. So, all right, I'm even getting chilly as well. So that's, oh my God, there's so many. Oh God, I feel like so bad. I'm missing all these wonderful comments. All right. I'm gonna have to flick through these later, I guess. Crowdfunding is really interesting. I mean, again, crowdfunding comes down to it's community, right? You know, this is a community. Eventually, who knows? This community. What if this community becomes? What if this community decides they want me to make another dog's breakfast? I mean, it's happened. It's happened with the Arrow guys, their Code 28 or whatever it is. I mean, if you get a big enough name involved or a big enough audience, you can, of course, you're going to be able to make and do stuff. I'm not sure I'm ever going to have an audience large enough to do that. You know, but you know, that doesn't mean I won't try. You know, but again, another perfect example would be the Critical Role. Critical Role, a bunch of, at the time, basically unemployed voice actors or limitedly employed voice actors, you know, who start their own company and now they're creating their own stuff and they're worth a fortune and they have control over it as well. But that's because they put in the time. I mean, they put in a lot of work to make that happen, and they're really good at what they do as well. I mean, you can't keep. I'm sorry. This is always you always got to assume you're also good at what you do as well. But yeah, if I had a dream for the future, it would be. I would love to just make dogs breakfast movies all the time. I loved working with Jane. Jane was a fabulous producer and basically co-directed it with me because she was sitting behind the camera, you know, while I was on screen. I would love to work with her again. I mean, I'd love us to have the control to be able to do that. But, you know, I'm not making Stargate money anymore. You know, I mean, that was, you know, I could, you know, I spent probably, well, 5 or 6 episodes worth of that show on getting Dog's Breakfast made. Because that's what I wanted to do. I mean, and so of course, who decides what happens? Me. So all the mistakes, me. You know, it's great. All right, everybody, thank you so much. Sorry, David, as much as I love you, and I do, and this is going to go, please get yourself off, get something to eat, shower, and get on with your day. It's so true. I'm babbling on. I'm beginning to get shivery, and I'm not making a lot of sense because I'm hungry too. No, you are not. That is not unpopular because I need to do that anyways. Thank you all very, very much. Please go and follow James R. Gurney. Go and follow Gimpy G Gaming because they're fabulous. Go say hello to the wonderful Cal if she's around because she's also missed here on the strange little YouTube thing that I'm on here. Hopefully I'll be back soon because that means I will have exercised. And in the meantime, be safe. No, be brave, be kind, be brilliant. Cheerio and huzzah! And wish me luck. I got to go do this stupid audition now. So, yeah. Bye. And thank you again to Richard. God, thank you so much for your nice truth $100. That's extraordinary. Thank you. All right. Lots of love. Cheers. Bye.